Hello, everybody. Okay, I have the live pulled up here next to me, and we will get going. So I have prepared all of my area here, stencils other than my one right there. And you guys will get to see the power of reusable stencils, because we're going to use this stencil for this and this and this. And then I can use this one stencil for all three signs. The same thing, every stencil will be used 2 to 3 times. And then the beauty to it is this will then go up on my holder over there. And whenever I have orders come in or I sell these and I need to make more, I can go again with this exact same stencil. I'm not weeding it. I'm not cutting it again. I'm using this over and over and over again. So we're going to get you guys put up here. Make sure that you guys can see. Okay, I'll get you adjusted. Make sure that we've kind of got the right look going on as we get into the holder here. And let me drop this down just a hair. And I think that honestly should be fairly good. Honestly, are longer, so they are going to take a while. This is basically a small Subway style sign. There's a lot of words and a lot of things going on, but this is a new release that we just came out with our SVG club. All of these are, and they are so cute. I think they're going to be top sellers, and I want them in my store back on the back wall that I was talking to you guys about. So, are you guys ready to go? Are you ready to go? Let me get my paint out. I'm going to go on ahead and get my black and my white. How tonight is going to work, as soon as I start in, what I'm going to need for you guys to do is I need a timekeeper to basically keep time in comments. A couple of you guys can do that. So I need a volunteer for that. And then I also need a couple of accountants. I need a few people to keep count of how many signs I get done with the dollar value. I will tell you how much I charge for the signs as I am painting them, and you guys keep track of it. So that way at the end, I don't know how many signs I'm going to get through. I really don't. But whenever we get done, hopefully our accountants will have everything figured out, and we will have our final number at the end of the hour. Are we ready to get started? All right, let me kick my shoes off here. It's like we're at home. I feel like, can somebody please play the Rocky song? I feel like I'm going in to battle right now. I always have that, you know, da 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 da, like I'm running up the stairs. All the things. Okay. As soon as this turns to 6:05. I'm going to start in. So 6:05. Ooh, it just turned 6:05. Here we go. So I figured you guys can ask any questions that you want. I will look over here and there and be able to talk to you guys a little bit about it. But I am going to keep my head down and painting for the majority of this, just like I would be if I was working this here at the shop and I needed to get signs done, which I do. So that is what we are going to be doing. And I figured a little bit of the talk that we would have for tonight is I need for you guys to interact and engage with each other in the comments here. And I picked some longer signs this time because this is realistic of what is selling. This is what we're releasing out inside of our own business here at my retail. So we are releasing these out actually this week, and we will have these in our storefront. So I am painting them, and these do take a little bit because they are, there's a lot of words here. But we are going to talk about the myths of sign making tonight with reusable stencils and just sign making in general that I have heard over the years that I'm always like, oh my, that is not how you have to do it. Not saying that there's some people that don't, not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying a lot of times, the way that I teach inside of the CMM, you don't have to go about this the hard way. Okay, so myth number 1, that you have to sand after you paint your base coat, so that way you have a really smooth surface. That is not true. I base coat all of my signs with the color that I want it, or I stain it, and then I go and paint right over it. I do not do any kind of sanding. So that is myth number 1. Is there anybody in the comments here that does sand? Now, I have done that, and boy, it really does make a really smooth finish. But do you have to do that to make a great quality sign? Absolutely not. If it's a choice that you decide to do because you like the finish of it, you absolutely can. I know a lot of sign makers that do that, but it is a myth that you have to in order to get a really nice quality crisp line. That is not true. So that is myth number 1. Anybody in the comments, do you guys sand after you get done base coating to make your finish smooth? Let me know, yes or no, in the comments here. Ooh, how does that not bleed? I've got the touch. And I teach you how to be able to do this inside of the CMM. It's the technique that you use with the sponge in your hand. Yep, that's my next myth that actually goes with this, is that you have to use a smooth surface. I have painted on barnwood for years. I'm gonna go over one more time down here on the bottom. I've done reusable stencils on barnwood and not bleed. So it is all in the technique, of how you use your sponge and your offloading of your paints and all the things. One sign, no bleeding, $18. Who is my accountant for tonight? 1 and 18. Let's move on to the next. As you will notice here, check my board, see where my warp side is. Oops, sorry. Let's go this here. I'm using the exact same stencil that we just did. Let me get it lined up here on my board, and let's paint again. So that is myth number 2, is that you have to have an absolutely smooth surface. It kind of goes with myth number 1 of sanding. But this one here, I'm just saying that you can use reusable stencils on barnwood. It does not have to be a smoothed out type of surface. We need to go over this again, so we have a brighter white. On a second pass, or this is really kind of a third pass over, since I go over everything a couple of times as I go. We don't have to hit it as heavy as we do our first time. We just want a little bit of a brighter white here. Dark stain in black with white lettering, it always takes longer than doing black lettering. So if you're wanting to really pump out like a ton of stuff, a little tip and trick for me to use is to do some light colored signs so you can use black lettering, because white always takes longer to cover. You have to go over it a couple of times sometimes to get the nice white, bright lettering on it. So that's what we're doing, but you'll see how much quicker, because this is my last one of this one here in white, and I will switch over and do black on a white one on this exact same stencil, and you will see just how much quicker it is to do black. Yes, I have, I've used a stencil brush before. I do not like the finish. I don't like the dappling look that it has. I just don't like them. And for me, for whatever reason, a stencil brush, it takes quite a bit longer to get the, I don't know. I did have somebody that worked for me when I very first started in. She would come out a day or two if I was getting ready for a craft show, and she has always just been a crafty lady, and she used a stencil brush, and I could do several more signs in a day than what she could with her stencil brush. And I could have just maybe possibly been a little bit faster of a painter too, but I did get several more signs done than what she did, and I tried to use her stencil brush, and it really slowed me down. I don't know why, but there's two, $18. Myth number 3 of the night. You have to put down a base color first before you paint onto your stencil. Meaning, several people will come in and they will put, like right now with this, they would put white over it first and then go in with the color of their lettering. That is a myth. You do not have to do that. Okay, let's see how much quicker doing black is. As you guys can see here, I'm going on my black lettering. I could go in with whatever lettering. I don't put whatever color the base is down. Some people say, well, it helps with bleeding. Like it doesn't bleed whenever you do that. Well, you do not have to do that in order for your stencil not to bleed. There is a technique that goes into using reusable stencils. From work, and then we would 18, third one. Let's do some of these smaller ones and get some a few done without giving my little arm a break here after doing those subway signs. Yeah, that sign there was a big one. It's not really one that you want to do a flex with, but man, it's a great seller. All right, $12. I'm going to let this dry since I went on black. There's just a little bit. I didn't paint super heavy, but I am going to let that dry. I've got 2 white ones here, and then I'll switch back over to my white paint and get that black one done with that reusable stencil. And no, I will not frame these unless they start bowing on me. Then we might slap a frame on them. But these will have hangers put on the back of them. They'll be sealed and they will go right out to the floor. How many myths are we on? Number 5? 5. The 5th myth for the night for sign making. People won't buy without filling in the bridges. I've had certain people say, well, I don't think my customers would like the bridges in the signs, because you have to have bridges with reusable stencils. That is false, my friends. And let me tell you, there has only been a select few designs that I have ever filled in, and it's with really scripty fonts that are real thin. I will go back in because entering in a bridge that's a little bit wider than like the sign design of the font itself, it does make it look a little funny. However, very, very rarely, I can only think of 2 signs over the last several years that I've gone in and filled in bridges, and I have sold thousands of stenciled signs. So I do not fill in the bridges on any of my signs, and I sell them. So it is a myth that you have to go back in. Now, if you say, well, I prefer that look better, like to have them filled in, then that's totally fine. I teach you within the course how to be able to go in and fill in your bridges if you do not like the look, but I'm just telling you, you do not have to in order to sell them. Your customers really don't ever notice them unless they are not done very well. So that is something that you do not have to do. 12. So when you come into the CMM, the SVGs that we give you, the designs that we give you a vinyl version, and then we give you a bridged version. I teach you how to be able to make these, but we also give you bridges into every single letter of the alphabet for beginners and then for advanced people to be able to save time with bridging if you want to. Andrea, our designer, is actually going to be a guest artist, 12th, in March, I think, is what she said. And she is going to actually show how to do her curved bridges, which look so nice. Like this here, this B has a curved bridge in it. So this stencil here was already used once. If you remember, we put this on a white sign. I just let this kind of dry. This is what I'm talking about whenever it comes to doing paint parties. You can use these over and over and over again, right? Like you don't have to print out a brand new stencil for every single person if you have it set up correctly. You can have 2 to 3 people on one stencil. If your project is, kind of set up and structured that way, it just saves you a whole bunch of time. And, as long as they follow your directions and don't just absolutely sop everything on, which generally, every once in a while you will. But generally people listen and it dries in between. So they absolutely, within a few minutes, it dries and they can, utilize it for something else. If you're doing like door rounds, maybe you have a welcome on top and then a print on the bottom. Somebody can be doing their welcome on the top and then somebody else can be doing the print and then they can switch her up. And then maybe have somebody making a bow or whatever. So 3 people could be working on a door hanger to go all together. If you structure your classes right, you absolutely can benefit from using reusable stencils. So see how this has a curved bridge in it, that B, it's curved right there. Andrea is going to show how to be able to do that through a design program for you guys. Another one, 12. Let's pull some of these littles in. It's one of my top selling signs. You guys have heard me even talk about this week. This is a little. These go super quick. These are really easy money makers here. We charge $8 for all of these little block signs and we sell them like hotcakes during all of our events. So they are quick and they are easy and they are going to be a really good money maker if you do little block signs. The downside is they're kind of a booger to work with just because you paint all over yourself with these, but boom, $8. I've got 2 more of these, so we'll wrap up these here. My shoulder is feeling a little bit like it's not on fire now from the Subway sign, so we'll pick up a couple of more Subway signs here. I think I counted up after I actually found these extra 2 little blocks here. So I think I had 18 total is what I counted. I don't know if I'll get through them all in an hour, but okay. What's another one? This is my last myth. You have to paint the back of signs. I hear that a lot. $8, another one. Or people feel like they have to paint. the back of a sign to make it finished. And I always tell everybody, if it is something that is going, if it's a stain, then we do, because stain gets all over and it looks really messy on the back. But if it's a sign that is meant to hang on the wall and it's not a block, it's not meant to fit on a table or whatever the case may be where people will see it, if it's a hanging sign that's meant to go on a wall, you are wasting time and money. People very rarely, I don't paint the back of mine. I have never once, I can't even say very rarely, I have never once had anybody come up to me at my store or at my booth and say, well, the back of this sign isn't painted. It's really unfinished. I've never one time had anybody say that. Why is my little thumb not wanting to hold you down? See how quick those $8 are? Here's another. All right, my shoulder is feeling a little better. Let's make it hurt again. I hurt my shoulder here a couple of years ago, and I really probably need to go to the doctor to have it tested out. I think all of these designs, the kids one I've sold a lot of in here. This one here is brand new. I will not lose my shit today. That one's brand new. This is just kind of my style, funny, smaller signs sell really, really well for me. We don't do cussing and everything, but we do some. If people are like me, they generally love them. And I'm here to tell you, these signs sell. They really, really do. Now, it might not fit your brand, and it doesn't fit some people's brand, and that's okay. It's not going to be for everybody, but these will definitely be good sellers for majority of people, if cussing does not offend you. Some tips, like if you do bleed on any of your signs, like if you are having a hard time with bleeding, you can run a little bit of sandpaper, over the top of them and just kind of smooth out, like do it all over your sign and kind of make it a little bit more rusticy. And that'll really help kind of knock off some of those edges. There's a lot of little tips and tricks that I teach you within the course inside of the membership that will help you not bleed. And we will also be doing that stencil masterclass in April to be able to help anybody who is struggling. But I teach you step by step of what you need to do. It's not saying that you won't ever bleed, because you will. I still do to this day. I actually might have bled. I did. I bled just a little bit underneath that S. I felt that go right up underneath with my sponge whenever I did it. So you're still going to bleed every once in a while, but you do with vinyl, you do with painting. It's just the way it is. We're in a crafty world, so we definitely are going to make mistakes. I mean, you guys saw me this morning. Here I'm talking and not paying attention. I go to put that home sweet home down and I completely did it wrong. I had to start all over again today. That kind of stuff is going to happen in our world of making stuff with our hands. We aren't computers, so that kind of stuff will absolutely happen. But in general, I can teach you to be pretty accurate. I will say a brand new stencil is one of the hardest to be able to stencil with, because you don't have much of a ledge and things are fairly slick. So you do kind of have to be a little bit more cautious after you don't have to be as cautious after you've used it, if that makes sense. At least one time. Yeah, isn't that fun? So I did have a little bitty bleed there, so I'll go back in and correct that. But overall, looks pretty good. All right, that one there is 18. Okay. I feel like stand signs take even longer. See, this one here is bowed, the weird, it's got that ugly knot on it. I don't know about painting this one. It's just, I might need to do something else on this one here. Let me put this one to the side. If I get down to the end and I still have it, I will do it, but. Same stencil on white. We're gonna switch switch colors. Sounds so weird to say, but I have literally, I bet I've painted, I don't even know. I don't even know. I had a painter, I've had painters that worked for me over the years to fulfill orders and everything. You know, but like for each of one of the craft shows, like the later part of me doing craft shows in my career, I guess you could call it, we would create, me and my staff, it was just me and 1 to 2 other painters. I had one gal that usually base coated a lot for us and then would print out stencils and get them pulled. And then me and the other gal would paint basically all day. And then we had a full-time shipper, and all of that. 2 woodworkers going on all at one time. This is all that we did. I mean, I painted from the time that I got up until the time that I, went to bed. And you would have thought my arm, at least my right arm would have been really toned. It wasn't. It still jiggled, girls. You would have thought, right? But, yeah, that's what we did. But for craft shows, in the later part, what I was saying is we used to create 1,000 items. And we painted on other stuff. You know, we painted on buckets. You know, we did wood signs. We painted on, you know, other stuff too. But we would make 1,000 items for every show that we did. You know, and I would go to several. So, I don't even know how many signs, honestly. It's been thousands, I can tell you that. We have, you know, shoot, I mean, I don't even know how many of that Get Naked sign we ever did. I mean, what's 80,000 divided by 22? Do 83,000 divided by 22. What is that? 3,000. Thank you so much, Jennifer and Terry. Here they come. I must be lagging. So that's in that 1 year, that's how many of that Get Naked sign that we painted. So that's just one sign in 1 year that we did. So, I mean, when I tell you I've done thousands, I mean, we have painted thousands of signs over the years. Man, you know, here whenever we opened up our store, I think me and Susan painted probably close to 800 signs just for the store. We had signs just everywhere. $18. Good mom, but I cuss a little. The size of boards I'm working with are 8 by 12 inches and 8 by 6s. And then I have done a couple of little blocks, and those are like 2 by 4s cut. So they're like 3 and 3/4 wide by, I mean, 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, I think is what they are. I'm using a 1-inch pine wood for all of these here. And if I put my mind to it, I can paint pretty quick. I get distracted during the day. I get to talking with the crew here, and then I feel like I need to get up and get me some coffee, and then I'm like, well, I'll go to the bathroom, and I'll go over here and talk to Kelly, and then I'll go in here and brainstorm and talk with Andrea and fill her in on stuff. I am a true blue creative. I was just literally telling the girls this. Like, I have no ideas coming up with ideas. I have no ideas, good grief. I have no problem coming up with ideas. It is like getting me pinned down to execute. You know, if I say that I'm going to do something and I give my word for it, I always do it. I show up on time. I do all the things. But, you know, getting a plan and executing, I think is honestly, that is difficult for a lot of us creatives. 12. That's kind of a pretty one. Even that knot's pretty in there. This is me. Good mom, but I cuss a little. Have you guys been keeping up with me? 12. This is me. Question, if I had to start my business over again, yeah, there are several things that I probably would do different. Not as far as sign making goes, but just some of the stuff that we did. We bought a metal machine. I probably wouldn't have done that again. The reason being, after we had it for a couple of years, we got a metal CNC machine. And we designed a lot of neat stuff with it, but the metal prices went sky high. They've come down a little, but not a ton. And it's just heavy, and it just didn't go over the way that we had hoped it would. So I probably wouldn't do that. If you could ever tell about the economy with stuff, if I would have known that the foot traffic wouldn't have been here in town, I definitely probably wouldn't have bought our building. Town was really up and hopping and had a lot of cool businesses and stuff in it, and then they went out of business. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have done it, but at the time, like the time that it is now versus when we bought it, it's just completely different. So, if I would have known what I know now back then that was going to happen, it definitely would have made me question. 12. I mean, it's a massive building. It's 12,000 square feet. I possibly maybe would have built a building on my property and did craft retreats and still had our staff. We worked out of my garage forever, 900 square feet out of the house. I had, 4 or 5 full-time employees and all of that out there. I would probably maybe look at doing that instead of buying a massive building. Or if we could have maybe got a smaller storefront, kind of thing, that might have been a better option. But at the time, it was great when we first did it. Business was really, really good. A lot of foot traffic in town. There was a lot of perks to it, and there still is perks with having it. It's just a really big building. So it takes a lot to fill in product and all that kind of stuff too. But, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You just don't really ever know what's going to happen in business. You got to take risk. You got to show up. You got to try different things. So, those are probably two of the biggest ones that I definitely would have to really stop and think about. But you don't know at the time. And at first, whenever you do it, it's a great idea. Things worked out, but then they don't, or whatever the case may be. So just kind of, there's a lot of things in business, that you try out, and it's a risk. And any entrepreneur will tell you, it's like I told you here the other day, if you think that there's not going to be failures in your business with different things, I told you guys about Amazon. We had put a lot of eggs in that Amazon basket, and then what happened, I told you guys about that last night. So there's just certain things that are going to happen in business over the years that you're like, probably should have rethought that, or probably maybe shouldn't have done that. But you don't ever know until you try, so there's some risk, that pan out. I took a class on memberships. I spent, a lot of money on a course and programs and all this stuff. And it was the best thing that I ever did. But it was a huge financial risk. It was a huge risk by starting my memberships and kind of walking away from a lot of my retail stuff, So there's good risk. There's risk that, don't pan out as well as some of the others. And that's just part of business. I am an entrepreneur through and through. I'm not as scared to take risk. I will look back and say, that probably wasn't the best idea. Probably should have done that a little bit different, or I wish I would have known, Everything has led me here to you. It's how I have the experience. It's how I am able to, give out advice and have it be sound advice, because it's what I've done over the years, or what I wouldn't do kind of stuff. So I would still go into sign making. It's been a great love for me. It's been a relaxation thing for me. I have 2 minutes. Let's see if I can get this done. It is black. I don't know. I've only got 1 minute. Let's see how fast I can be without bleeding. This is an 8x6. The true size to it is 7 1/4 by 6. So where are we at? Where are we at? So tell me, how cool is reusable stencils? Did this convince you? This is honestly the way to go if you want to create in bulk, if you've got a great seller, if you want to be able to intermix different words and different designs. There's multiple ways to be able to use reusable stencil. And the beautiful thing to this, honest to goodness, the beautiful thing to using reusable stencils is that I can use this again. Like, I have done all of these signs, $224. Average sign, 2.5 minutes. Ordinary. Did you guys count this one? I was 1 minute over. Are you guys gonna give it to me? Now, obviously this is not profit, right? Because we've got the paint and we have the wood, but I probably honestly don't have more than $15 wrapped up in mylar and wood here with my paint. 15, max 20 bucks. So $200, we'll just say 200 bucks in an hour. That's lawyer, that's attorney rates, baby. And I get to sit here barefoot, drink my coffee, and cuss. I know we're still not done, but if we're getting ready for a show, if we need to fill our antique booth, if we've got a top seller, there's no beating reusable stencils. You know, at this point now, we have to take in, we do have to go and finish it. We didn't include like our cut and sand time. Like, I know all the other stuff that go into it, but as far as just painting, like, this is a great day's worth of work. I used to go down whenever I very first started. If Clint was not able to do my woodworking, whatever, I would go down, I would cut 10 to 15 signs. I'd come back in sand, putty, whatever I need to do. I'd bring them up. I would base coat, put them to the side, let them dry, go get my designs ready, print them out, do customer service, and then get everything ready and be able to paint them either that afternoon or evening or the next day if I had something going on with the kids, whatever the case may be. That was what I did on a day-to-day basis. Did you guys see the farmers market stuff that I posted? Let's go get coffee. What questions do you guys have? Reusable stencils, absolutely for the win. And I'm really not kidding you, I'm not trying to be funny, and of course I want you to join the CMM, but this is not a selling point to CMM. If the only way that I would be able to make signs was vinyl, I would never be here. I hated it that bad whenever I tried that method. And it was awful to me. Like, so if I had to be a vinyl sign maker to like do the stencils that way, I wouldn't have probably made it past a couple of years. It was too time consuming. It wasn't fun to me. Some people say they enjoy weeding. I don't. I feel like it's a complete waste of time. So www.creativemakersupplies.com, and you can see SVGs and stencils and canvases, all of that on there. And basically how it works. So those there that you just saw, those were actually our SVG Club designs that we rolled out for this month. I mean, not all of them, but some of them. And so those will stay exclusive to the SVG Club for a year. And then we retire them out to that website. So you can purchase the SVGs to make your own stencils, and we provide both versions. So if you are a vinyl sign maker, that's totally fine. Or a vinyl stencil maker, we have a vinyl version, and then we have the mylar version for reusable stencils. So we sell the SVGs, or you can purchase the mylar reusable stencils from us as well. But the SVG Club, they're exclusive for a year. Inside of the CMM, they're exclusive to those members for 3 years. All of our designs that we do inside of the CMM, they are exclusive to them for 3 years. Like, I had somebody message today and was wanting to know if they could buy the stencil of like the big floral, and we created that in 24. So CMM still has it to be exclusive to them for a whole other year. So they get exclusive rights to those designs. Let's chit chat about the CMM. What do you guys have questions about? Is there anybody on the fence? Are you new here? Are you just finding me? Are you wondering what is going on? I'm on the fence. I see and hear the numbers. What kind of numbers? You talking about the cost of the membership? Dee Dee's joining tomorrow. Are you talking about the cost of the membership? Or are you talking about all the money that you save? Or what are you talking about? I get it. It's a monthly commitment, right? Sometimes that's scary for people if this is supposed to be like a hobby, if they're just wanting to get into a side hustle. I get that. I completely understand that. You know, the monthly commitment can kind of be scary. But if you are looking at this for a side hustle and money is a concern for you, it's going to take you a little bit, but there is definitely ways to be able to make money with the designs, the science, and what you learn with it. So I get that. You know, this is supposed to be something that's happy and fun and be our getaway, right? Like, truly, that's the way that I look at painting. Sometimes when I get like super stressed out or whatever, I go into hand painting and like I will sit there and hand paint and lose myself in 2 to 3 hours. So like I will turn on music, I will get my coffee, and I will hand paint something. And it might not be the best whenever I get done, but like it is my escape. And to be able to have that be my job and get to teach people to be able to do it too is such a blessing. And it's just, you know, like life sometimes is not easy. And so if we can do what we love to do, it's truly a blessing for sure. There's like woodworking tutorials inside of there. There was like Bible journaling. There is, wood pumpkins. There's all kinds of crafty stuff. Well, I've got some stuff here. It's not just signs. Here, I've got some stuff that's out. I mean, it's not everything that we've ever done. It's been a program going on for 6 years. So there's like over 200 tutorials, but they're crafty and painty, and there's signs and there's all kinds of stuff. So like I showed this, we did garden flags. So you get like the resource where I got these from with the holder. So we did garden flags 1 month. I know that we've done fabric projects like pillows and different things like that as well in there. We did these really fun little crafty, easy money maker things. So we made to and from name tags for Christmas presents and did like Christmas quilt blocks. And so we made those kinds of things. This was actually January's tutorial here. I taught how to be able to do palette knife. I have not done that technique in a while, and everybody got like the SVGs and cut files if you do have a laser. If you don't, you got the SVGs to be able to paint this like this. So we did that. This is another one that we did. We did vintage. This is one of my favorites. I don't know why, but I love Americana stuff. But we did these really cute, it was actually a set of 3, fun vintage like packaging. You know, like this would look like the old, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess packaging for fireworks. And there was another one that was like a medium one. So you get like your supply list of all, and there's all different kinds of projects that we do. There was a fall one that we had done. We played around with folk art stuff. So I showed, you got a whole release of SVGs 1 month, and there was, all different things. So we came on and I just played around with all the different elements and different colors. This was a color release that we had done last year. So sometimes I'll release out whatever, like the seasonal, like new color palette's going to be. And so we played around with all different kinds of stuff. Like this is a little busy for me, but we played around with all different kinds of elements and what it would look like and where you could put stuff and that kind of stuff. So that was kind of fun. So we did folk art because that's really popular. Just last month, as you come in, we teach, I taught this basket weave paint technique, and then you got SVGs that said, like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And then I taught you how to be able to paint a goose. This is really popular right now. I know some people are up in the air about it. If you are my age and younger, people love it, the whole millennial crowd. But if you already lived through this in your home, we are finding that people don't. But we did the goose with the blue bow, and I taught how to be able to do the basket weave, which would be super fun on a door hanger too. So we just do... we do all kinds of stuff. Of course, we release out SVGs that are used for signs. I don't want to mislead you that every month there's SVGs that are released out for this. But as far as the tutorials go, we come up with different things. So there was a mason jar that was released out. that had a bow that can kind of match what we just did last month in there. But I am going to teach how to hand paint lavender next week inside of this mason jar, and give different ideas of what you can do at craft shows and different things like that. So it's something a little different. We do hand painting, we do stenciling, we do woodworking. There's all kinds of stuff that we do in there. But the SVGs that we release out are going to be for signs, or to go, like we released out the SVG like for the goose. Like that was what we released out there, and then all different kinds. I think we had like a silly goose, and what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and duck goose. That kind of thing that got released out with the goose, but those would be really cute, like additional, or to go with the goose on a sign, something like that. So it's definitely geared around painting, hand painting, and stenciling wood signs. Hopefully that makes sense. Watercolor is a good one. I learned how to do watercolor here a few years ago because I fell in love with it. And then I felt comfortable enough to be able to teach it. So for the last couple of years, we've been doing watercolor, but I did it for probably a little over a year practicing. It's kind of like the loose brush stroke art right now. I've done a couple of pieces, and like the big goose that I put down, I don't feel comfortable enough to teach it yet. But I am working. So I'm always learning, so I can come back, and after I feel like I maybe not master, but feel good enough to be able to teach about it and show, where I've made mistakes and how to be able to help you through it, I think is something that's also pretty cool about the CMM, is just learning new techniques. So since I have been a membership owner, I've learned palette knife painting and watercolor, so I haven't taken anything on in a couple of years. Textured painting, we did a little bit of that, but that was still with palette knife or piping. I learned how to do piping with the textured paint, and showed everybody how to be able, like we had a cross one month, and I showed everybody how to be able to do like a piping flower. That was a pretty cool one. So different stuff like that. I love to learn new techniques to be able to give to you again in your tool belt, right? We talked about that. Either one will work. As far as you said, can you buy a Cricut or a silhouette? Absolutely. It does not matter. I usually recommend a silhouette because I haven't seen as many people struggle as much. And I don't know if that's just because more people have a Cricut versus a silhouette. But very rarely do people come in with a silhouette and I see a ton of problems. But that could just be because more people have the Cricut. But either one will work. Our members have them. I have a larger cutter. It's called a Titan. It's a 28-inch. But if you're just kind of getting into it and you're not really for sure if it's going to be for you, you're planning on doing it for a few years. But if you're in it for the long haul and money is not an issue, I would go with a larger cutter like a Titan. I really would. It's a workhorse, and I have cut thousands upon thousands of stencils with ours, and I'm on my second one. Plenty of help in there with Cricuts, and I mean, some of our people absolutely love their Cricut. Like, they don't want anything else. So just kind of one of those things that I think it's kind of probably whatever you get started with and then you become comfortable with. But I've seen more people have issues with the Cricut. But like I said, that could just be because there's more people that have it. Guys, go check out the website. Go check out our supplies website. Go, check out the rest of this page. I have done a ton of lives and videos all week long to educate you guys about the CMM and teach you different things and do our website highlights. Go check it out. See what you guys think. If you've got any questions, you guys can send us an email. Myself, and I, myself and Kathy, answer the questions. Kathy is our community manager, and her and I address any kind of questions or anything in the emails. So info@creativemakermovement.com is the email address if you have questions that you don't want to put, private, if it's something more private to you, and you don't want to put it on a live to be able to ask me questions, you absolutely can email me. You can also send a message to the page. I'm the one that answers most of those on there. I think I've answered all of them this week. So it's me who you're talking to on here. It's not like a bot or anything. So thank you guys so much for joining me. We made a profit of $200 in an hour tonight with reusable stencils. It's truly the way to go. And I hope you decide to join me inside of the Creative Maker Movement and learn how to be able to do this process and make yourself more profitable. Hope you guys have a good one. Cheers from my cup of coffee to yours. Cheers from my coffee cup to yours.